by default is just because they mess up the economy so bad. But the bad news is they probably have increased spending by that amount of money and made it that much worse. So you can't have decreasing revenues, continue to spend more money, have all these entitlement obligations, a national debt of $11 trillion. Like right now, currently, our national debt is going up at the rate of $2 trillion a year. You hear other figures, but it's $2 trillion a year because, you know, we take all the funds away from the other trust funds. The other day we had a vote, we had used up all the highway trust funds, and so they had to replenish them, so that went quick. It was a suspension vote, 2/3 vote, put $17 billion in it. So the money came in from the highway taxes, they blew it on probably spending in Iraq, they come up short, so they print more money and fulfill it, and everybody votes for it. But you know, once again, back to this silliness about ridiculous spending overseas. You know, in the transition, I think there's a lot of things we can do. We don't have to cut everybody off right away, but we ought to have some priorities. And I think it's a logical point of view to say, look, isn't it time that we quit blowing up bridges around the world and then paying to rebuild them and not even have enough money to take care of our own roads and highways here in this country? The news has been pretty good this week. I think that there may be a much greater growth of Campaign for Liberty when you see how many people out there are disgusted with the government. And you know, I don't like to deal with anger. I don't think that's the best approach. I was always taught, you know, you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar, and anger doesn't work. But there is a lot of anger up there, and a lot of it is justified. And I think our goal, Campaign for Liberty, is to harness that energy and that extreme upset, you know, being extremely upset with our government, and take it and turn it into something positive. That is the key. If we can't win. Because the anger, already they're turning against us, and they say, oh, they're angry. I heard one commentator interviewed a congressman, they said, oh, yeah, they were down there having a ruckus with my town hall meeting. And they had the nerve to get up and say that under the 10th Amendment, the federal government shouldn't be doing this with medical care. He was incensed to think that the 10th Amendment, I think the 10th Amendment actually restrained the government at the federal level. But they will continue to get away with it if we allow them to do it. But right now, our freedoms are seriously under attack, whether it's personal liberty or economic liberty, or whether it's the intrusion that we have overseas. And we, as a group, have an ominous responsibility. I'm always pleased with the crowds and the enthusiasm, but in some ways, you know, once you see what's happening, and once you get introduced to the ideas of liberty, understanding Austrian economics, understanding our history a little bit better, it can make you uncomfortable. And that's probably good. And people follow up and they start reading and studying. But I see people like you as being very, very special and different, because you are part of a remnant of people who hold things together. The masses of people will never quite understand. But what you do and say and understand makes all the difference in the world. But you have more responsibility than anybody. And this is not new. This isn't something that I've thought up or we've invented. But that's the way it's always been. Responsibility always falls on a small number of people. And Samuel Adams talked about that. He said, majorities don't, you don't need a majority to prevail. You need an irate minority who's willing to go out. Brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, and this is what out our revolution. And I like the idea that he said minds of men. Heart is good too. We want hearts and souls, but I like this idea that he wanted to start the brush fires in the minds of men, so that you know and understand understand, because it is an ideological fight. This is not, a political fight. The politics is secondary to this, to the ideological fight. And that's where we're winning. That's where we're making progress, more so than ever before. Because Keynesianism failed, and the American people are irate because they know it has failed. They don't quite understand what the alternative is, and yet we need to fill that void and come in and explain what is necessary. Now, it always has bothered me over the years that we haven't been more successful. Why should we automatically be successful? Should we have the moral high ground? Should we have the whole idea that we live with God-given rights and we believe in liberty and personal choices and religious freedom, personal responsibility, honest money, a strong military without ever going to adventurous mercy? I mean, and prosperity. We have the answers to the prosperity. Yet they have always, the opposition, the big government people, the socialists and the Keynesians, they have always said, we care about the people. We're going to take care of you. We're going to make you safe. Just come to us and we'll provide safety, whether it's the crisis of 9/11 or the safety of a financial crisis. And we care about you. But those people who believe in laissez-faire capitalism and believe in getting rid of the Federal Reserve, they don't care about you. But the truth is, if we're humanitarians and we care about our fellow man, we will argue the case for liberty, and we must win that argument. Yeah.